Alright guys, here we go. The last shave of the 31 days of Stag, the representing 31 days of Austere August, even though I'm ending here on September 2nd. The brush, as always, B35 from Zenith. He's been soaking for a while, so he is as soft as he's going to get. Timeless 68 gap open comb stainless steel razor. Nacet blade from Gillette, and this one has 530 uses on it before today. Scent for the whole shave, soap, cologne, and splash afterwards. Chiseled face midnight Stag. And here's what the ring of death looks like. I think in the beginning of the month I had a tiny white dot, so it has grown through the course of the month. Get my face wet, or before I get my hands all wet, let me show you guys the Nacet markings and all that stuff. Now I can get my face wet. And I just don't see any reason why we shouldn't end the month with a pretty standard Slurry Lather shave, because that's what I've been refining all month. Shook most of the water out. There's still plenty. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I bet 6 will be plenty. And then I can take the brush right to my little face. What will I do tomorrow for a shave? I don't know. Boy, look at all this water coming down. So I definitely could have shaken it out more. That is something you can kind of get the feel for when you are using this method. Kind of thought I'd keep using the Nacet, because my friend Greg has talked about and displayed his microscope abilities, and he's getting some pretty good pictures, digital photographs of the blade edge on like some straight razors that he's using. And also he participated, I'm almost certain, so many of my friends were doing it or not doing it or whatever, you know, and so I kind of lost exact track. But the WEC is it's like a shavette. It's a replaceable blade razor, and it uses these hair shaper blades, and some of the guys used those razors. There's the WEC hair shaper, and then a little bit longer is the WEC sexta blade. Why it's called the sexta blade, I guess meaning 6. I don't really know why. Maybe it doesn't mean 6, maybe it means some other language or issue, but it's a little bit longer. It's more looking like a regular straight razor size. And it's a vintage piece. Not very expensive. But those guys shaved with that all month long. It was fun watching them on their little adventure. I definitely noticed some of them saying about halfway through that they had now discovered that the comfort was not where they wanted it to be, and they couldn't wait to throw the blade away. But many of them did persevere. But one of the reasons I wanted to, I'm talking about Greg here, is because I was going to send my Nacet to him for some photos. Really curious what the, I don't know if he's going to be able to get close enough to where he could, where we can learn what the geometry of the edge has become. Now we're definitely going to be able to see with his photos the condition of the edge. Is it really scalloped and chipped and deteriorated, you know, or somehow does it still look okay? But I've always used it except for one little mishap on the same side. And so that's really why I'm so curious. A little splash of water. And the third pass. So I wanted to put a nice round number so that when we pointed people to the photos, we could say, you know, well, this is the Nacet after 550 shaves, or, you know, something like that, some nice round number. Instead of just saying 532 shaves, which is, I guess, 531, actually, if I just stopped right here at the end of this month. So I'm probably going to keep on going with a Nacet, which means I will likely keep going with the Timeless here. But I've got a bunch of soaps in the wings. Talked to you guys already about the Slurry Lather method and how I'm really curious about getting it. Working with other soap bases, working with other brush types to see if it's valid, see if it works well for those also. And that's the third pass, ladies and gentlemen. Good rinse now. And those 6 swirls still gave me plenty of lather, and I knew that it would. We, if you recall, during the month, with this very wet type of load, where the brush is very wet coming into the soap tub, I got to wear half a turn around in the soap tub. It was enough to give me plenty of lather for 4 passes. Let me clean this up now. I'm going to have to find a small boar brush, because I know that the Slurry Lather works really well with this wide boar brush, both in terms of the tips here, but mainly in terms of the diameter, 31 millimeters. But these are not the typical boar brushes that people have on hand usually. So I know that it works on the Smoke Owners Club, which is one that really splays a lot. But I'm going to get one of the smaller ones I have and try it with that. One cool thing is I've got a custom soap that it was a prize on a previous version of the Lather Games, not to me, but to one of my friends online, and maybe it was Mammoth, Ben at Mammoth, maybe it was Noble Otter, I can't quite remember, but they created a scent, pretty sure it was Ben at Mammoth, created a scent just for him, based on what they knew of him, and so he was very kind in sending me a sample of it when I bought some cool stuff from him. And I'm really looking forward. I have been watching that sample and letting it sit around, and I am going to be using that very, very soon. So that may be the next thing I shave with. And that's it. Oh, except for the last use of the month. of the Midnight Stag. I've just got so much. I mean, I love the scent. I could keep using it. But I've just got so much other stuff that I want to use up. And actually, I may want to start getting my balms together because, man, I don't want them to start going bad and going to waste on me. I'd rather pass them on to somebody else, and if I can't use them in time, right? So I'm going to take a look at them. And here's the cologne for Midnight Stag. Now, some of the people that were doing the Stag Challenge were doing things like for each week of the month, they were upping the spray count by 1. There was a couple years ago, I think somebody was doing whatever day of the month, that's how many sprays they were doing. And so, yeah, by the end of the month, they were doing 31 sprays of Midnight Stag all over you have to have a certain kind of job to be able to not be around people, right? If you're going to do something like that. So that's it. The quickness of the Slurry Lather is on display today. Did not disappoint. You do miss some of the luxury of the brush. This is a super high density knot that really feels good on my face. I'm going to try it at some point with the Slurry Lather or something like it. The really high density hand tied type knots. And when that thing is just full of lather, you just really enjoy using it on your face, right? Now this big Zenith here, it has a different feel as you would expect, but it's also good in a way. That part in the beginning where I'm just using the tips, that's a really neat feeling. That's a lot of fun. In a way, it's still a little bit luxurious. And then it's kind of also neat to feel the brush change and the lather change during the course of the passes. The first one, you just feel the tips and you feel it super wet, but also slippery. And then the second pass, you start to feel the creaminess start to come in. You still feel the tips, but you're able to splay it a little bit more. But you feel that creaminess of the lather start to come in. And then by the third pass, the creaminess is definitely a hold of it, and it's more like a mature lather. Of course, the amount of time you spend in each phase dictates how quickly the lather comes together. I did a couple of shaves where I spent longer on the first pass, and so then the creaminess came in the second pass instead of the third. The maturity of the lather is what I should have said. So, you guys who buy their hand-tied brushes really enjoy using those on their face. And so this method does leave that out a little bit. But let's see what we do get from it in the upcoming shaves. I have not changed in my adoration for Midnight Stag, especially the cologne, because it just has notes that you're just not going to get with the soap or even the splash. The splash is kind of contaminated a little bit with the menthol scent. The soap, just by its very nature of being a soap, hides some of the notes. But this guy is the true, and some people call it an extrait. I think maybe. I haven't really nailed down exactly what that means. Maybe the extrait is the scent that the perfumer is trying to create, and then they take that and use it, and they dilute it a certain amount for the cologne. They mix it in at a certain level for the splash, and they mix it into the soap. And so maybe the extrait is that central thing. I don't, maybe it's not synonymous with the fragrance or the cologne. Maybe one of you guys chime in and let me know. It's at the end. I still enjoy the Midnight Stag so much. Sometimes you'll get sick of a scent using it the whole month, but that just doesn't work with Midnight Stag with me. And this is the 4th time that I've done a month of Stag. So I guess I should know by now. I love it. Thank you so much for watching. I don't usually get as high numbers when I do something like this because it's the same shave all the time, and a lot of people come to watch for new items and the variety and that sort of thing. And so I totally don't blame those people for not tuning in during the month of Stag, or a month of the same soap. I got a feeling it would kind of be similar if I was using something else as well, but I only did it for the whole month, you know. So I don't blame them for not tuning in. Thank you, you faithful, who, a lot of you guys. It was fun commenting with you, talking with you in the comments there through the month, even though it was kind of the same stuff every time. And I did hear responses from you guys. Some of you did do an Austere August type arrangement yourself, and it was that same sentiment, and I was so glad to see it, where you're able to focus on the process, on some aspect of your process, by keeping all the variables the same in terms of the soap and the brush and the razor and the blade. By keeping all those the same, then you're able to really work on some other things about your technique, and hopefully you guys saw some improvement there. I think that's good enough for 2023 August Midnight Stag. Mr. Two Night Skies Ultra Nightmare Mode is the name of the designation, where you use the same blade all throughout the month, the same razor, and of course all the other things the same as well. And so that's it. Take care now. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Good night.